Hey famous warrior, welcome back to our channel. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you can do that now. Hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any new videos that we put up. Today I have an awesome treat with me. I have Josh and Lydia, and they're here to talk about how they have been courting, dating, what's the difference, we don't know. Maybe they're gonna tell us, but they're here to talk about that, and I'm doing that in purpose, and they're gonna share what their purpose is. So I hope that this inspires you, encourages you, and blesses you. Thanks again, you guys, for being here. Thank you for availing your time to our famous warriors out there who probably follow you. Maybe they don't know you. Maybe they're gonna meet you for the first time by watching this video. And I just want you to feel comfortable. This is a space where you can feel safe. It's a space where you can be yourself. So just feel free, be comfortable. And yeah, I hope we have an awesome conversation that will not only be fun for us, but that will bless people out there. So to get started, I want to ask each of you to tell us about yourself in 5 sentences. Okay, so we'll start with Lydia. Ladies first. Kindly share with us a little bit about yourself in 5 sentences.
Lydia is fun, adventurous. I can't emphasize fun enough.
Okay.
I love to have fun. I think it actually contributes to what I do. It's like I've always told God that I want to live life and have fun, and I feel like He's fulfilled that for me, even in like my work, because I have so much fun with what I do. So awesome. I love fun. Is that one sentence?
Yes.
Okay.
That's one sentence.
Yes. I love my family. I love the Lord so much. I love serving God. I love serving people. Did I mention the children? I love children also.
Okay.
I love my me time. I love to dance.
So you talked about your job. So what do you do for it?
Oh yeah, I dance.
You dance.
I dance
for
with
work.
kids and adults.
Wow.
I do dance fitness.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that brings me so much fulfillment, especially with the adults, because you know we get to see women like just let loose and have fun, and it's just like a free space for them. And it's another way. In the beginning, I didn't see it as ministry, but then I got to see like this is somewhere where like women come and just like they can be who they want to be. They express themselves.
So awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, that's what I do. I also do kids classes, and yeah.
Okay. Josh?
That was 7 sentences.
I love that bonus question. So tell us about yourself in 5 sentences.
5 sentences. I love Jesus. I love the Holy Spirit. I love God the Father. But yeah, I think I'm just passionate about everything to do with God, and I just feel like just like my life's journey it's hard. Like if I try and remove God from the situation or like it's hard. I fail. Like I fail. I'll try, but I fail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need God, and so yeah, everything about me is just God. And then I love music, everything from the production point of it to singing to writing, just listening to it. I love it. Everything about music I love.
Awesome.
That's true. I'll copy paste hers. I'm fun and adventurous. I can't dance to save my life.
Yeah.
I can try.
You can.
But yeah. But she's more adventurous than me. Her adventure level is slightly dangerous. Yeah. It's slightly dangerous. Me, I love my life. Yeah. I'll have fun in the safe zone. Let's just not risk our lives. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What else? Ooh, I love spending quality time with people. So yeah, friends, family, that's a major for me. Like even if we're just chilling at home doing nothing.
Awesome.
But as long as I'm just with my people, perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know, And by inquiring minds, I mean me. How did you guys meet? It doesn't have to be like the long version of the story. Just try and compact it a bit. And I'm curious to hear your version and her version, because I'm sure they'll be a bit different.
I'm sure.
So Josh, you go. You go first and tell us, how did you guys meet, and not just the meeting, but then from the meeting, how did you then become a thing?
Yeah. Okay. So now our story is nice. It's nice. Because I kind of feel like we've always been in each other's spaces. Like I can't remember like when did we first meet? Boom! This day. Like she's just kind of always been there. Grew up in the same neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah. And like she's been there. She's been there. We've just been seeing each other. But then when did we start spending a lot of time together? It started as like I love cake. She loves cake as well. I know where the best place is for cake. No, I know where the best place is for cake.
Wow.
Okay, I'll show you. So yeah, time she'll go this place, no this place, no this cake. But then I think for me, what I like cherished the most about those moments was the conversations we would have. Because for me, it would give me some kind of insight into how she thinks. And like just where like her headspace is at with different situations and different scenarios. I'm like, oh, okay, she's got a level head on her shoulders, and I'm saying, and so like, okay, from there, okay, let's go do now another cake. So now for me, it became an opportunity. Became an okay, you know what? Let's go for cake. Let's take a walk. Let's go have cake. Yeah, and it was in that getting to know each other phase of cakes. I said, okay, this one, she's quite there. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. From there, yeah, we just really spent more time together. She started doing her YouTube channel. Yeah, so I'd help her with that. Again, more chance to just
You saw
to just
opportunity.
be there. Yeah. I said, okay, let's keep this thing going. From YouTube, spending time together, putting in much prayer into it, and just, okay, Lord, if I'm gonna do this, should I do this? Yeah, because I've kind of been in situations before where I would pray about it and I kind of get no, like for me it looks like okay, this looks good, but then God is like no, and I'm like, okay, before I make another mistake, please, should I not? Right? And for me, like throughout the whole journey, is I've had that peace, and I said, okay, cool, let's do it. Now, here you go.
Yes.
So much pressure.
Now let's do it and see if it matches.
If it matches.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it will line up actually. Yeah, I agree. Like I've always known Joshua. I've known Josh the artist anyway. From the neighborhood, we had mutual friends, and he used to come to my church once in a while and do his thing. I used to see him just from a distance, like, oh, it's Josh. And yeah, I've just known him for the longest time. Like him, I can't remember when we actually met. Like, and I feel like in the beginning I felt sad. I was like, we don't know when we actually met. But anyway, we've just always been in each other's spaces. Until what happened? I think we went like for a trip. Yeah, so I went for a trip with friends. I don't even know how I found myself there because it was a lot of Miracle Life people, but he was like, oh, I think Lydia's cool, so she should come. So I went for that trip, and then when we got back from that trip, like he came to see me with lots of people from Miracle Life at my place, and I was like, that's odd. Like, you know, I never thought like, you know, I was in like the clique, for lack of better terms. But they were so welcoming, and they came over, and like that's how we started hanging out a lot. And I guess that's how like we just became official friends, for lack of better terms. Like we now became friends. And then yeah, we had a fast at my church, and he joined the fast, and that's the season where I feel like I started spending lots of time with him, because yeah, we would meet up and go to my church together. We would have the prayers, and afterwards we go look for, because it was a Daniel fast, we go look for vegetables and like how we got
very high. My God.
like what are we gonna eat? And then after the fast, that's how the whole cake thing came up, because yeah, I guess I like to eat, and I was like, I know where the best cake is in Lusaka, and he was like, no, I know. And I think you've seen that we're very kind of competitive. So yeah. Yeah, so that's how we met. Yeah.
I can confirm.
You can
Okay.
confirm?
She's not lying.
Awesome.
And he asked me out with cake, so that
Aw,
was yeah.
That's so sweet. Wow,
Yes, we
that's
had
such
to
a
check.
beautiful story.
Yeah, he wrote at the bottom of the cake. If like he asked me out, will you be my girlfriend at the bottom of the cake?
So when you were done eating it is when you found the
Yeah,
message.
and
Aw.
I was this close to not seeing the message because I was just gonna close it and just like. But yeah, that's how we got into a
That's so
relationship.
nice. Awesome. Okay, so Josh, you spoke about the conversations that you guys would have on these Tuma cake situations. How have you guys, and I guess I'll give you a chance to both answer this question, but how have you made sure that you've made your desires clear to one another about what you want out of the relationship, if you've even done that? Lydia, you go first.
I think just from the get-go, I think in those conversations, as he said, like we could pick out like the type of person, I could pick out the type of person he was and he could pick out the type of person I am. And I think after getting into the relationship, I mean, we dated twice, by the way. I don't know if that's a thing, but we
you
dated and broke up and then got back
together.
together.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the second time around is when we really, I think the first time we took a lot of things for granted in that we didn't talk a lot about intention and we just dove into the relationship
Because
and
you just liked each other.
and I actually think we thought that because we liked each other, it just had to work. I remember once Joshua made a comment like, "Is it supposed to be this hard?" You know, like, and I was just like, yeah. So after like the first time we dated when we broke up, I feel like the second time is when we actually sat and had conversations about, you know, what we want out of the relationship, actually getting to understand each other. Because I feel like there was lack of understanding. Like we didn't even put a lot of effort in getting to understand. I mean, you can know someone, but like there's that level. I mean, that grows over time.
Yeah.
But like even putting in the effort of like I need to understand who Joshua is.
Yeah.
Like it won't come naturally. I need to know that I need to understand who he is. So I think we have spoken about it, knowing like, okay, what do we want out of this? What do we want in our personal lives, and how does this align?
Yeah.
How do these things align with each
Yeah.
other? Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
She has answered.
Okay, let me put a twist on the question since she's answered the question. What are some key things? Give me 2 key things that are like, okay, this is what I wanted out of the relationship and they were non-negotiable and I had to communicate them.
Let's just remove the twist. I feel like in the beginning, in the first half of the relationship, we kind of had something like that where I would say, oh, this is what I'm expecting. But I feel like now I kind of realize it wasn't realistic.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it was coming off of that thing where we both got out of relationships that were just and so it's like now I've got this idea in my head that this is how it should be. So now that I'm in this relationship, it must be the way it is in my head because this one didn't work.
Yeah.
So now this has to be the ideal. And so even I think stuff that we would be communicating is I need attention, I need blah blah. Like I think it was very surfacey stuff and sometimes not realistic because if you're working, how do you give somebody attention? Yeah. And I feel like what that also kind of pointed out for us was the stuff we needed to have, like just, what's the word I can use? Like on a fundamental level, like just already provided by God. Yeah, so even like certain things of like assurance and just security in who you are, being loved and whatever, had to come from God on a fundamental level before it even comes here. Now it's like, forget about the fundamental. I want it from you. It has to. Yeah, and I feel like that's where we put a lot of the strain. And so, I feel like for us, the number one thing that's just like non-negotiable, I probably haven't said this, but it makes sense now, is we just have to put God like where he needs to be. Before we get anything from each other, let's get everything we need from God, because it will stress each other out.
Right.
Yeah.
Alright, before you go to number 2, and just to like echo what he's saying, I feel like and we have like even witnessed this, like in times where we felt like so much frustration in our relationship, it's because we're not putting God first. Like there's a time like we were just like clashing so much, and there was like, and we're wondering what was happening, and we went back to ourselves and said like, okay, but where have we put God? Because you know, sometimes we get so in love, and you know, we forget that, you know, we get caught up. But then like I think one thing that we've really established is that we need to have God first. Like no matter how good this feels, like we need to make sure that this is okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, I can go to your second.
Yeah. I think that's probably like the biggest thing, because I feel like one, it would be so hard, and we would just really stress each other out. Like if like it would be so crazy. So one thing we're also working on is our communication. Right? Is for me, it's something I've always heard. No, communication is key. Relationship communication is key. Now, when it's actually happening, I've noticed it's not always the easiest of things. Especially when you want to communicate, maybe if they've made you feel a certain way negatively. But then at the same time, you want to bring that out, because again, you don't want to keep stuff in, but you want to bring it out in a healthy way again that doesn't scar them. And at the same time, when they also bring that out to you, not get defensive. You know, so that's something we're working on now, and I feel like even just from the second half, from the beginning of the second half, from the beginning of the second half.
The first part is false start.
I love it. Yeah. So now what's the second one?
I don't know.
The real start, the start, the beginning.
The beginning.
So when we began again, we both decided, look, we're gonna be clear with our communication. We have to say certain things and not keep stuff to ourselves. So even with that, we're working on how to do that better. But I feel like that's one of the other things that's like a non-negotiable. Like don't keep stuff in, because how are you going to tell if you can't tell me? And
and it's been hard, but we're growing in it.
To piggyback off the fundamental, which I think it stays a fundamental even after you say I do, beyond, you know, just the dating, courting phase. But what practical ways do you keep God first? Like, because you said, you know, you always have to make sure that he stays first, so that you know, you guys are healthier, in a healthy space. So what are practical things, like day-to-day routine things that you do individually to make sure that God stays first?
For me, it's I notice I try not to neglect the time I spend with my friends in prayer, because I noticed even like before we started dating, we'd do a lot of like just spontaneous praying, have some time of worship, pray for each other. So I try to just keep that as well in there. Whenever I just say, if the guy is nothing we're doing, why not just throw in a prayer? Why not just open the Bible? Let's talk about some stuff. So I'm trying as much as possible not to neglect that. Because like she said, there's times just she's not here, let me text her. Why should I be with this guy? So it's not neglecting that, using that as well as an accountability space. My friends, anyway, if you're watching this, guys, you can do better. you can do better. Come on, honestly. But it's a place where, you know, I can get grace. And more recently, there's a devotional that she actually gave me. It's been going well. I've skipped a little bit, I'll be honest. Skipped a little bit. But just doing that. So there's the devotional, friends, and just really being connected, even like at church. So like really being involved. When it's time to pray, let's pray. Exactly. Like really using those moments.
Okay. And you, Lydia?
So for me, I love to journal. I really love to journal. I love to journal. I love to spend time in the Word. I try to like set a time in the morning. If that doesn't work, I'll try as much as I can to do it before the day ends. And even just keeping the things that I listen to, like good things. Like I like The Chosen. The Chosen is helping a lot.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love The Chosen.
Dope.
Yeah,
So
so
dope.
like sometimes instead of watching like a series, I would like just switch to The Chosen. Whether it's the music I'm listening to, like just trying my best to, you know, make sure that I'm just filling myself with God and things of God. And yeah, once in a while we'll pray together. Not once in a while, we'll pray together. We'll have Bible studies together. I am one person who, like, I would always do things by myself until I met Joshua, because as he said, he would do things with his friends. They would, and I just admire that. Like, I would go to his studio and I find them praying, but for me, I would always like have my me time. I'd always do that by myself. So I think even also incorporating that also, I think a lot of last year, was it last year or it was the year we started, I used to like join in on their group meetings and stuff, so that also helped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like more recently, because I hadn't done it in a while, like just grab my guitar and like just worship with whatever song comes to mind. Yeah, because I feel like I've been so busy in the studio. It's just work. Whenever I now think music is work, music where I don't want to listen to anything. Yeah, so like recently I just grabbed my guitar and just started playing, and yeah, like it was just beautiful. It was a place of like refreshment. So yeah, I think that's also like one of the things I want to do a bit more. Yeah.
So when it comes to dating with purpose, obviously communicating your goals, the vision that you have, things that you want to do, and seeing whether those things line up or are compatible with each other is an important thing. And from what you've shared, it seems like that's something that you guys did, and it's something that you're continuing to do. So what are some values, goals, or visions that you have for your life individually that you share, and you're like, okay, this is something that we can then bring together and make a thing once, you know, as we pursue this journey together?
Yeah, I think our love for serving people is something that we've shared a lot. I think for us, we see it as like, whether it's on YouTube making people laugh, or it's like actually going and helping people in the street, which we've done. We'll go and like help people, but just serving people in any capacity that we can. I think that's something that's big for us. Personally, I think for me, everything just revolves around serving people, because when I think about it, the children, when I think about the women, it's all about service. So basically for me, I think it's a life of service.
Awesome.
I agree.
Anything else to add?
Yeah, but just on top of that as well, is for me it's family, and just seeing also her upbringing, my upbringing, they've been different, and there's lessons we've both learned in that. And I feel like even in most of our conversations, it's like, we have to do this differently. We have to do this differently. And yeah, I love that so much, that it's in both of us, in the sense that we're not kind of taking it for granted and being like, we'll wing it. You know, like we have to be intentional about certain things. And yeah, I just believe, you know, family is it's such a cardinal thing. Like, it impacts nations. I mean, it may just look like, oh, it's one family, but then like how all these families bring up their kids will impact, will literally impact the nation. So I think just to add on to like serving people is just that aspect of family.
And just to add, sorry, he's reminded me, but it's still really the same thing. But one thing we also really like gel on is how we want to just like create spaces that are good for people, like whether it's a home or whatever it is. We just want to have like spaces where people can feel free, people can, you know, come and feel like, you know, this is somewhere I feel like relief and all that. So that's another thing that we really have passion for.
For sure.
So it sounds like you guys have talked about life after marriage. From our home, our shani, our
we really have.
It sounds like you guys have talked about, you know, life after I do. So I'm gonna be bold and just ask you guys to share, like, what's your plan? How long have you been dating, and what's your plan?
So we've been dating for a year.
Okay.
Yeah, minus the first start.
We took that out.
Yeah, that's yeah. So it's been a year, and obviously the plan is to get married. We've put a date that Should we say?
No,
Not on
you don't
camera.
have to say.
Maybe not on camera. Yeah.
I'll tell them after.
But yeah, there's a date, and I think one really cool thing that we did, because obviously we have not been married before.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening, what's gonna happen. But yeah, so we took some time to just really sit down and say, okay, let's write a couple of things. Maybe that we would need, essential stuff, and so we wrote down everything. We put like figures attached to everything, and we prayed. We prayed over that. We prayed over the date. We prayed over everything we need, and just the whole process to get there. And it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I told her that day. I said, yeah, I'm glad I have a woman of God. Oh, we can just really pray with together.
Yeah.
And for me, like I don't know. It was. What word can I use? Maybe like more confirmation. Like I'm with someone who's
Solid.
Exactly, like they have a real relationship with God. It's not just for saying, oh, I'm a Christian. Exactly. So yeah, we are actually taking those steps, and everything we wrote down has actually been happening. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, actually. It's like a mini testimony, because we have a certain number of months of testimonies. If I say, you know. But yeah, we actually, after praying, we're like, this is gonna be this number of months of testimonies, because we felt it. And literally, like, we were praying for provision for something, and like within the week, God brought like this huge opportunity for Joshua, and it literally met us like where we needed it to meet us.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, we're in our something month of testimonies. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so aside from communication that you earlier spoke about, what other roadblocks have you faced in your relationship, and how have you navigated them?
Okay. I think, but did I mention understanding each other? I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the
well, you
biggest thing.
alluded to it, but
Yeah,
maybe you can unpack that
explain,
a bit.
Okay, so that's one of the biggest things I feel like even led to us breaking up the first time, because we just didn't understand each other.
Okay.
Like Joshua would see me and think that, I mean, we came from a place where we would have conversations and stuff, so I guess maybe it painted this picture. But then when we got into like getting to know each other more, maybe I was a little bit more quiet. I know it sounds very like, but I was a little bit more quiet, and he was more spontaneous. Like, spontaneous or loud? What word is it?
A bit of both, actually. Yeah.
But he was more loud. And I think even like the picture that I've had of him is like he's a loud person. Yeah. Like, he's a very loud person, but me, not so much. And I think that's why we had our biggest like issue, because I would also live in my head a lot. So like maybe he would be talking to me, and sometimes I would respond in my head, or I'll just be thinking of something, like I'm just deep in thought, and it would hurt him so much, like, because he wanted that, like he wanted to have more of that, and that is how our relationship started off those conversations. But then it got to a point where like, yeah, I think I lived in my head a lot, and I wasn't very expressive, or as expressive as he thought I would be. And that brought a lot of friction. Like it brought a lot of friction. It started going into spaces of like, even when I'm around him and his friends, he would think like, can I bring around my friends, or should I just be quiet because my friends are all loud? And I think that made him feel a little bit, what's the word?
Unloved. Yeah, because...
So you felt like she wasn't interested.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, how people in relationships talk. Why are we talking? Hello, I said something, you haven't replied. Talk to me. Yeah, so to some degree I also kind of felt like, maybe I'm too loud for her. So maybe it just won't work. Yeah, and I feel like with that is us not understanding each other also came from a place where we just expected the understanding to just kind of happen. Like, if you're my girlfriend, you're supposed to understand me. It's like we thought like, oh, yo, this is how it's supposed to be automatic. I guess, should I give you back to continue?
No, do you have anything else to say?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay. I feel now how we like navigated that, and I feel like it's kind of been our biggest lesson, is intentionality. If there's something I want her to understand about me, I have to be intentional about communicating that to her, rather than just like, hey, by now, honestly, it's been a year. It's been a year. You're supposed to know, Yeah, it's be intentional about everything. Like, don't leave stuff to. It's supposed to be automatic because in the movies it's romantic.
Yeah.
When it's just, oh, how did you know? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I remember this one time, like, we were driving and he just made like he made a comment, like a very small comment, wasn't even anything deep, and I didn't respond. And he was just like, these are the things that make me feel like you know, you're not into me, like you're not interested. But and then like I was just in my head, I can't remember what I was thinking about. So for me, it's also been like being intentional about being present in the moment, which is something, I don't know, maybe I never found myself in spaces that required that much of attention from me. But because I love him, I said, this is something I'm going to work towards doing, because this is something that means a lot to him. I mean, when he told me that it makes me feel unloved, like it makes me feel like you don't love me, it moved me so much, because I didn't see it that way. I didn't realize that that's how much impact it's having on him. And so I had to also be intentional, like, okay, you're here, you have to be present. Not that he was boring, like he was very interesting, he's a very interesting person. But it was just how I was. It's just how I was,
Okay, so what's the best relationship advice you've ever received, and how have you applied that?
So best ever, I'm not sure, but I can remember the most recent, which was pretty good. It was at my cousin's wedding, and the pastor that was officiating their wedding said, you know, when your friend says ouch, don't say, I didn't even step on you that hard, or just apologize, make up for it, and adjust. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. Until recently, when she said ouch. And I was like, come on, let's be realistic. Oh my gosh. Until like then I remember I said, okay. So it's exactly it's you putting yourself aside. I mean, it's not like I'm not the one feeling the pain, right? And she's communicated saying, hey, look, can I tell the whole story? Yes, that's why we're here. Yeah, so she kind of felt like she was putting in a lot and just really sacrificing a lot, while she wasn't even feeling like well, but she was still trying to show up for certain things. And then she just asked for one thing and I couldn't even do it, and then it was a whole thing. I feel like, you're not taking care of me. Like, wow, like, let's be realistic. How am I supposed to do this with ABCD? Right, then I remembered what he said, and I just apologized and said, look, I'm sorry. I'll do better, ABCD, and hopefully I made up for it. Did I make up for it? Okay, I did. So
and you, Lydia?
The lesson?
Yeah, like any good tips of relationship advice that you've received that has helped you navigate your relationship with Josh?
So I learned not to say things that I don't mean. I think the first time when we were together, we got into an argument and I said maybe we should break up, and that's how we broke up, and I didn't mean it. I really didn't want us to break up, and he was just like, okay. But then like, you know, it felt so bad because I just said it like it was from a place of ego, and like I was like, you know, I really didn't mean it. And after talking to someone, she was like, you know, don't say things that you don't mean. And I think I've carried that with me, like no matter how angry I am, I won't say things that I don't mean, like just for the sake of saying it or getting it out there. And also just being more real with how I feel. I think it's easier to put up like this, you know, strong, I don't feel this way, and that's where the whole saying things that you don't mean would come from, because I just like, I'm just gonna say this. But now just I was told to just say what I actually feel, which is hard, because sometimes how we feel is like but I think that's the best advice. I would never say things that I don't mean.
Amen.
Okay. So what do you guys know about yourself or have discovered about yourself that leads you to believe that you are in a place where you're ready for this relationship, you're ready to pursue this relationship, put your all into this courtship with even the goal of, okay, we want to get married?
Okay. For me, I think knowing how much I'm now willing to work on myself for the relationship. I think before, like what I said in the previous question, like I would be more in other places, in other relationships, I would be more defensive, and I think I've had that for a long time. But when it comes to him, I'm more willing to like make the changes that I need to make. I'm more willing to work on myself. Even though it's hard, even though certain things are like challenging and certain things are stretching, but I found myself more willing to do certain things that make me better to make the relationship work. So knowing how like doing certain things had been like challenging for me in the past, but now I'm in a place where I'm like actually willing to do those things. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does.
I'll also go and say the same thing. So now I don't know if I should do it.
Yeah.
I really was. But like,
You can say it in your own words.
it's the ability to adjust and like just to better yourself. Because I think it's been something. Was it at Rema or just in life? I don't know.
But how is that different? How is that different as a man? Because there's the whole male ego thing, and how do you navigate that and humble yourself to say, okay, you know what, I do need to grow in this area. How have you done that?
I think for me, even in this recent situation that happened, it just really took me realizing, like me trying to defend myself or try and paint my side of the story, it doesn't help. Like it doesn't help her, it doesn't help us. She doesn't feel better. Like it just doesn't help. And honestly, it also doesn't help me, because even if I try to defend myself, she's still gonna be mad. And when she's mad, I can't be out there happy and like, oh yeah, life's so good, but I know she's mad at me. So like it's just getting to that point of realizing it doesn't help anyone. It really just doesn't help anyone. And so adjusting for the better is really the best thing to do. Because obviously like me getting better helps us, right? If I'm just the same person who I was when we started dating, and now it just really doesn't help anyone.
Okay, so we're still on the getting better train. What growth factors were you in the beginning? Like if you go back to the beginning, not the first start beginning, but like the rebirth of the relationship, when you were like, okay, we want to do this the right way and this is our goal. What were some things that you purposed to say, these are certain things that we want, I need to see in my partner for me to be able to pull the trigger and say, okay, yes, I'm going to marry this person?
I think for me it was some of the stuff she mentioned about like her not being expressive and being in her head a lot. So for me, I kind of needed to see that, because of how I would also interpret it as I don't feel seen, I don't feel loved, I feel ignored. So I was like, I can't be feeling this all the way, right? So it's like, if you love me, let's see, like show it, say it, do something, right? And so I began to see more of that, and not just coming from a place of like, oh, I don't want to lose this relationship, so let me just try and start doing stuff, right? So that's something I also kind of had to navigate, because she used to do that in the first start. I was like, it's about to end. No, okay, let's do something, right? But then it's like she even said, it's from that willingness of let me adjust and try and do this. So I think that's one thing I've seen definitely in her, that she's grown into. And also communication, obviously. It's not there, but we've definitely come a long way. We've definitely come a long way.
I've been married 11 years and our communication is still not there. Wow. So it's something that you constantly just have to be committed to working at.
Okay, so for me, I think it also goes back to the thing that I found a bit like challenging in the beginning, which was him understanding me. So before, it used to feel like there's a certain way he just wants me to be. But now I think he's more into like getting to know me. Like he's not just saying like, why aren't you this? But it's more of like getting to know me. Like, so I think that's something that I've seen we've grown in, rather than just putting this expectation and saying you have to make this. It's more of like doing the work and getting to see like, okay, why is Lydia like this? You know, before it used to be like, okay, but when you're quiet, what should I do? What should I do? You know?
You remember that? Yeah,
I remember.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, but now it's more of like, I think, and actually the first time like I was in my zone of being quiet, and he was quiet. So I thought something was wrong with him because, you know, Joshua is very loud.
Yeah.
And then he just said, no, I'm just trying to like, you know, get to like, you know, pick on how you're feeling right now, which was like a game changer for me because I was like, he's not just telling me all this, but he's actually trying to like understand me better. Yeah, so that's something I think we've grown in. He's grown in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so dating with purpose, courting with purpose, navigating relationships with purpose. How has this relationship helped you or fed into your purpose? Or what you feel like God is calling you to do in this season, or whether it's like your overarching purpose for your whole life. How has this fed into that or helped build that?
Oh, there are so many things that I could say. Firstly, this relationship has helped me step out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
I think Joshua has really helped me he's helped me like take the next step, like things that I would be scared of doing. He's there to not really push me, but to hold my hand and encourage me, like, you can do this. You know, there's once I was unwell and I did a whole like video, and Joshua really like he took me through it. Like, he helped me like tell people like everything that I was going through. It was a bit hard, but he was there, like, you know, reminding me, like, you said like you want to use your life to serve God, and this is an opportunity. So I think he's been there to like really help me step out. Other than that, he brings out the fun side. Well, I already have a fun side, but
a bit dangerous side. Now we bring out the fun.
Side. And that's something like, you know, I always tell God I want to live life and have fun and serve people and have fun, something like that. There's a whole statement that I like to like echo, and he really brings out the fun side. Like, it's so much fun, like everything that we do, like there's fun in it. And I feel like there's something else I need to say, but it's gone. But can I, after he talks, can I bring it back if I remember?
For me, I kind of feel like it's just the very fact that we are in agreement with the whole thing where like we just love to serve people. I feel like just that in itself is like, like we can make certain decisions and be in one accord and
translate to anything.
Exactly, yeah. And so just on just that fact that we carry the same heart for that's amazing. But also at the same time, I've seen Lydia as a helper, not just because, you know, the Bible says helper, whatnot, but like I've literally seen it. Like, she gets into my work like it's hers. And she's like, oh, did you think about this? And did you think about this? Oh, I was thinking maybe you should know. Like, hey, is it your job? But, you know, but like, she's really in it, as if it was hers. And yeah, I think that's just gold. Yeah, that's gold.
Awesome. If you guys can share with the Famous Warrior audience one last thing regarding dating with purpose, what would you want to say?
Okay, so this may sound cliche, but for me, I think everything goes back to God, like putting God at the center, making sure that you put God first, because I feel like not just in relationships, but in everything, there are certain things that God empowers you to do, like when it comes to dying to self or whatever it is. Like, you can't do that in your own power. And like, I don't know how marriage is, but you know, from the things that we watch, like there's a lot of dying to self, and there's a lot of that stuff that you can't do like in your own strength. Like, you need God. So for me, I think like if you want to date purposefully, just go back to God. God is love. God is our source of everything, and he's more than able to guide us through life and everything that we do in life.
True. I agree. But to add is just be super intentional. Like, don't leave anything to chance, because I mean, obviously in movies and whatever, it's for that car flair, for that car romance, oh my gosh. But like in real life, just be intentional about everything. Be super intentional. There's something that she said at one time where like the seasons where it's it's raining. You don't have to do anything. It's raining. The rain is gonna water your plants for you. But then there's seasons when it's not, and you have to be the one to actually water your plants because no one's gonna do that for you. And I feel like it's in the same way. There's moments where the chemistry is fire, it's on point, but then you can't rely on that forever. It's gonna go, and then you have to be intentional about cultivating the type of purposeful relationship that you want. So yeah, talking about dating with purpose, and just one of the ways to do that is obviously doing it in community, having people to help keep you accountable, people who cheer you on with like-minded vision and everything. Because in your journey of life, you can't do it alone. You need some people by your side. So this coming Saturday, we're gonna have a good time in community, talking about how our different journeys in life have led us here and there, and what we've learned along the way via music. So please do get your tickets from anywhere, really. We'll show you where to get them from. So yeah, do get your tickets. Only 150 kwacha if you get them now. If you get them on Saturday at the gate, it's 200 kwacha. So please, if your God is big and he's got money, come at the gate. But if you just want to do the right thing, get them as soon as you can. See you this Saturday.
I hope this video has inspired and encouraged you. If it has, remember to share it. And another reminder is that our chance to fight is a privilege, and you guys are definitely worth the fight.